When love becomes a crutch. How men often seek relationships to cope with career instability. Love can be a powerful source of connection, intimacy, and emotional fulfillment. But sometimes people enter into romantic relationships for reasons that have little to do with love itself. One common but rarely discussed phenomenon is how men, in particular, often turn to romantic relationships as a way to soothe the pain of professional or financial instability. When a man feels that his career is faltering, or that his social value is slipping, he may unconsciously seek validation through romantic attention. In these situations, the relationship is less about emotional intimacy and more about emotional survival. It becomes a coping mechanism, a way to feel good enough when other parts of life feel like they're falling apart. But when love becomes a tool for self-worth, it puts pressure on both the man and his partner, and often leads to an unstable, emotionally charged dynamic that's hard to sustain. The link between male identity and career success. From a young age, many men are taught, directly or indirectly, that their value lies in what they achieve. In many cultures, masculinity is deeply intertwined with career success, financial stability, and the ability to provide. A man's job title, income, and social status are often seen as reflections of his competence and character. Because of this conditioning, when a man loses his job, struggles professionally, or feels stuck in his career, it doesn't just affect his bank account. It shakes the foundation of his identity. He may begin to feel unworthy, ashamed, or insecure. And since society rarely encourages men to openly express these feelings, they often go underground, only to show up in unexpected places like romantic relationships. Seeking validation through love. When a man is facing career uncertainty, he might not always acknowledge how deeply it's affecting him. But internally, he may be wrestling with feelings of failure, insignificance, or diminished worth. In this state, love can feel like a lifeline. Romantic attention becomes proof that he's still valuable, that he's still desirable, that someone still sees him as strong, capable, or successful, even if the world doesn't at the moment. But this form of validation is fragile. It relies heavily on the presence and praise of another person rather than genuine self-acceptance. When love is used to compensate for a damaged sense of self, it doesn't grow from a place of wholeness. It grows from fear. The fear of not being enough. The fear of being irrelevant. The fear of being left behind. Love as a distraction, not a solution. For some men, getting into a relationship during a period of professional instability isn't just about seeking validation, it's also about distraction. Being in love, especially in the early stages, offers a powerful emotional high. It can temporarily numb the pain of failure or uncertainty. In this sense, love becomes a drug. It provides a temporary sense of control and purpose when everything else feels chaotic. The relationship gives the illusion of progress, even if nothing has changed at a deeper level. But eventually, reality catches up. No amount of romantic attention can permanently cover up unaddressed insecurity or dissatisfaction. When the emotional high of the relationship fades, the unresolved issues resurface and often create tension between partners. Unfair expectations on the partner. When a man enters a relationship primarily to feel better about himself, he may place an unfair emotional burden on his partner. He might expect constant reassurance, admiration, or emotional caretaking. Without realizing it, he begins to treat love as a performance review, seeking praise to compensate for what he's not receiving in his professional life. This can be exhausting for the partner. They may feel pressure to always uplift, affirm, or emotionally rescue him. Over time, the relationship becomes unbalanced, not a partnership of equals, but one person trying to hold up the other's self-worth. In some cases, this leads to resentment, emotional burnout, or even codependency. What began as a comforting connection becomes a heavy responsibility. It's not about blame, it's about awareness. To be clear, this isn't about blaming men for their emotional struggles. Everyone seeks comfort and connection when life gets hard. Wanting love is human, and feeling lost during professional transitions is completely normal. But the issue arises when men aren't aware of the emotional motives behind their romantic choices. If a man thinks he's falling in love when he's actually just afraid of being alone with his failure, then the relationship becomes a stand-in for inner work that hasn't been done. Self-awareness is key. When a man can pause and ask himself, am I looking for love? Or am I looking for someone to make me feel okay about my life? He creates space to make healthier, more intentional choices in both his career and relationships. The path to healing, rebuilding from within. Rather than rushing into a relationship to fix what's broken, the healthier approach is to first rebuild from the inside out. This means addressing the emotional impact of professional setbacks. It means redefining self-worth outside of job titles and income. It means learning to sit with discomfort and not using another person as a shield from pain. When a man feels grounded in himself, regardless of his career status, he becomes a better partner. He doesn't need a relationship to feel like somebody. He can offer love instead of just seeking it. And he can engage in a relationship with honesty, openness, and stability. Finally, thought. Love should be shared, not sought for rescue. At its best, love is a beautiful extension of two people who have already found value in themselves. It's a place of shared joy, mutual support, and honest connection. But when love is used as a rescue mission, especially to soothe the sting of career failure, it places both people in a fragile position. Men are allowed to struggle, they are allowed to feel lost, but they also deserve to know that their worth doesn't depend on their job or on someone else's affection. Real love doesn't ask you to prove your value. It grows when you already know it. So if your life feels unstable right now, maybe what you need isn't a relationship to lean on, but space to reconnect with your deeper self. That's not avoiding love. That's protecting it, so when it does come, it arrives at the right time for the right reasons.